Godzilla X Kong is outrageously dumb, but a lot of fun. It was grand seeing these two titans not only have a small skirmish between each other, but also go head to head with many other beasts throughout this film. This movie is a popcorn movie to a T, but there's something I noticed about it. It's another movie with the critic-fan divide. I've seen that with Super Mario Brothers movies and plenty of movies before it. What's so interesting about Godzilla X Kong, in my opinion though, is that this divide is happening after Godzilla -1. Now with Godzilla vs. Kong, it was a little bit more fair with critics, not as high as Godzilla -1, but it had a better score and it wasn't quite in that 50s range that we see here. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. I think it's possible that critics didn't like this one as much because we got so spoiled with Godzilla -1, which was a great film with a spectacular story and a story that had endearing characters, great themes, explored something that Godzilla movies rarely explore, and that's a human story that actually gets you attached to it. But what about Godzilla X Kong? Listen, there are some great characters in this between Dan Stevens' character, Brian Tyree Henry's character, and they had a great bromance, by the way. I was loving the duo between those two and how the comedic timing was perfect between them, and they were just the duo that these movies needed that I had no idea that I needed. Also, Rebecca Hall, listen, she's an exposition machine, but she did fantastically with the material that she was given. Explain every single thing that's happening to us, and hey, you know what? It works. The story, full of conveniences, had this weird messiah plot that I didn't necessarily need, but I thoroughly enjoyed. Godzilla X Kong is a product of Legendary after Godzilla vs. Kong, and Legendary knows where it wants to go with these movies. Big, dumb, fun action. I'm not showing up for a story. I'm not showing up for concrete characters. I'm showing up for this big, dumb fun. Mothra was a great reappearance as well. I loved seeing her calm down the boys when they were trying to go at it in their little skirmish in the film, and I had a hell of a time in Godzilla X Kong. But I just think it's such an interesting detail seeing how critics have disagreed with fans yet again on this one. Scar and Zuko were two cool new titans to the series. I really liked Zuko basically being like Kong's little brother or his son, however you want to look at it, and Kong could not stand seeing Zuko being mistreated. So Kong went ahead and went up against Scar. Scar King, our new titan, and wow, Scar, that man was lanky, wasn't he? But he had this element of control and command that really worked with the film. And Scar King, this big, long, lanky ape who controlled Shimo, was such a cool villain. And Shimo has these majestic ice beams that look so cool on screen. I love the visuals in this movie for about 80% of it. Not to mention, we're going MCU here with all of the action shots and these great matchups between Shimo and Godzilla and Kong and Scar. There are some money shots in this movie that I thought, man, are we a huge blockbuster, Fast and Furious movie? Because wow, I had a very good time strapping my seatbelt on and enjoying the ride of this film. Again, story, themes, characters, the Messiah plot, I could have done without. Wow, what we did get with the visuals, with this WWE-ified Titan universe, man, I love it. And the future of the Legendary franchise, we don't know where it's gonna happen because there was not a post-credit. However, if they do decide to continue making these movies, I think they're gonna let Toho roll with the Godzilla -1 story because we had a credit scene with that, but they're going to go ahead and just blockbusterify this franchise up. Seriously, Godzilla X Kong is an outrageously fun time, and even though critics didn't seem to love it as much, the audience is loving it. I gotta admit, as a kaiju fan, I really enjoy Godzilla X Kong, and y'all gotta let me know your thoughts down in the comments. How did you feel about Godzilla X Kong? I had a great time. I thought the visuals for most of it was great. Now let's talk about some things that weren't quite great, and I will say that other 20%, there's some wonky CG stuff happening here, and the plot conveniences start to add up to where they get extremely goofy, but you know what? That wasn't so much a negative. Kong getting this mega hand, this infinity gauntlet looking attachment. Hey, Worked for me, man. Just so happened that they were experimenting on a new Infinity Gauntlet in the middle of a forest. Hey, it works for me. But once we got to the city, there were maybe some scaling indifferences that I didn't quite see. Zuko, I thought he was a lot smaller than Kong in them, and he does appear to be, but once we get to the city, this little ape is like huge compared to these buildings. And not that that's too unrealistic, but I just thought the scaling was a little bit strange. Did I need Gia to necessarily be like this messiah prophet type figure? Not quite, but her character is still awesome. The young actress who plays Gia does a fantastic job yet again, just like she did back in Godzilla vs. Kong. And even though she was the messiah and I didn't really love that part of it, I did like that she was still the beacon between the humans and the Titans, and she still communicated with Kong, was still so close with Kong. I loved their relationship and their friendship. So all in all, guys, Godzilla x Kong, did it have a great story? No. Did it have the best characters we've ever seen in fiction? No. But man, it was an outrageously, amazingly fun time. I mean, getting to see these Titans trade blows for so much time on screen. That's all I could have asked for with the legendary movies. Just let me see big monsters beating each other up. Y'all gotta let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and hey, if it's your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button down below for reviews, movie news, and more, and we'll see you next time on Geekly Goods.